Hi, Joachim. I'm super grateful and happy to have you as a guest in Genius Leadership Podcast.
Thank you, Anna. I'm happy to be here. This is sort of I've never done a leadership interview before, so this is it's going to be fun.
Oh, really? You haven't? I just feel like you are in this position for quite a while already, and you're doing a lot of great things with the Crunchfish.
I think I've been in panel discussions actually, but I don't think I've been interviewed on leadership in this way. But I know I've sat in leadership panels but no, I don't think I have been this much in the spotlight to try to answer leadership questions. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it will be. And happy premiere then.
Yeah, thanks.
So I usually start with the question of what is leadership to you and who is a leader?
Oh, big questions. What is leadership? I think it is leadership is I guess to I'm quite personally quite results oriented, so it's a little bit to get something achieved and point in that direction. Getting other people engaged, interested in what you want to achieve, and getting the commitment, serving others in that work that you really sort of be there, but also sort of be there and point the way for everybody to move people from A to B, or do a task from A to B. It's all about being quite clear about what's going to happen, and trying to engage and get people to sort of follow. What was your other question? You had two, didn't you?
And who is a leader? So that's kind of the same thing, right? What is the leadership and who is the leader? But I think you kind of answered both in your answer already.
Yeah.
So it's both about being a visionary and tapping into your goal, as you called it, result, but then at the same time be this captain who is supporting the whole crew on the way, and make sure that everyone is still on board and not in the sea.
Yeah, no, I think it's leadership is a lot about caring. It's a lot about sort of being a bit of a captain on the ship. Sort of the captain leaves the ship last if something happens, and it's about to stand up for the whole journey and be there for everybody, and also sort of be sort of pointing out the direction. I think it's important to be a leader. Otherwise, you tend to be more of a follower, which is also a very important role to be. But if you talk about leadership, I think it's a lot about to set directions, I think.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, as a leader, you need to have your feet in a lot of different shoes and like switch between them, like being the leader or like being the captain, showing the direction, and also being the follower to be in the other shoes and so on. That's fascinating. How do you make sure that you are being sustainable with like being this person who is leaving the ship last? Because it means that you need to put a lot of effort into what you're doing at Crunchfish as a team. You're also responsible for in front of your stakeholders and shareholders. And how do you make sure that it all goes in a healthy way, both for you and your team?
In terms of sort of leadership in that, I think there are moments of truth that happens all the time, and it's all about to be authentic, and you basically, it's not what you say, it's what you do, which is important, and you there are so many opportunities to prove yourself all the time, that you are a person to be relied on, that they know you're there. As we chatted a little bit before this call, and I was telling, if someone leaves the company, I tend to buy them a cake. Not that I want them to leave, but this is sort of a little bit sensitive. Yeah, it is a sensitive situation for them, but I'm celebrating them in a way, because I think we have a great work environment here, but if they leave, they must have found something better than being here, and for their sake, it's worth celebrating. So it's sort of looking at what they, seeing them, and then being in their shoes, and and they will leave anyway, won't they? And it's much better than and that's a moment of truth to deliver in that situation as a leader. So that's just one example, but it happens every day. There is always things come up, and it is all about being that person who's there, who's present, authentic, with empathy. It's all these things, and so there's so many. It happens all the time that you prove yourself. You know how it is that you can have one bad moment, and it probably takes 10 good ones to make up for that one. So as a leader, the more you can be balanced and sort of supportive, the better, I think, is for the whole journey. Really, people will trust you and want to work with you and follow you. I think that's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely important. Could you give a couple of examples of the situations where you have a chance and you show your empathy, you show how you're present, where you show how you walk the talk for your employees? Because I think that this is very helpful for our audience to just get another perspective maybe, or yet another example of, I can actually do like this as well. And broaden.
Yeah, I think I like the cake example, that when people leave, think of just... that is a good example for doing all these things, sort of. But it could be it happens things, when people, it happens to people, things to people, that someone they have a crisis at home. These are excellent examples where you could make them understand that your life is more important than the work. And I value you more than whatever we are doing at work. You sort of go first for me, and you show up. You sort of you make them feel that I understand you. There are occasions where they are not under pressure, but you are under pressure at work. And if they know when they need you, you are there. They will be there for you when you need them, for the, say, at work, and also personally. But it tend to be sort of, as a leader, you tend to, they tend to be there for you very much if they know you're always there for them when they need it. So that's just one example. It's people are super, I think, loyal if you are loyal to them. You get it all back 10 times what you give.
Absolutely, Joachim. That's a brilliant example. And I also talk about that with the leaders, my clients, that to have people show up for you, you really need to show up for them. And also it's about building that trust, really. And you as a leader, you're not there to lead only. For me, that is a lot about serving your team. You are there as a servant. You are not this guy who is pointing with a hand or with a finger. You do this, you do that. It's more about being that person who is saying, hey, I have the authority, I have the power. How can that help you? How can I help you? Do your job in a good way, feel good, and so on. And it's really great how you're showing by example that you really putting your people first, and they know that, okay, I can come to Joachim and say, hey, I have troubles at home and I can't deliver. And they know that you will be there for them. You will make it work out. You will find a solution together, how to go through that period. And that's really great to show that.
Yeah, yes. But it could also be smaller things. It could be just at work as well, that there is some reason that someone they just try to be understanding and not just ask for the moon, really, when there are circumstances that is out of their control. Happens quite often, and then because there are people who are. I'm very results oriented, but I still always, I know, I set high goals, and I don't in a way care if I reach them, but it's just a stretch for me. But then but the people are slaves under their goals. That's not me. But I put a stretch goal there because it's sort of fun to have. But it's not something that I feel bad that I didn't reach, really. I'll do my best rather, and I think that goes with my sort of people in my team as well, that they put stretch goals as well, and they know that something could come up which was sort of unfortunate that we didn't foresee, and then things doesn't happen. Then you don't ask the moon from them in that situation. That's another example where, as a leader, you are you're not too demanding. So it's always about, I think, both. I can be very demanding because I'm not demanding, if you see what I mean. It's kind of complicated, but it's because I give them the slack. They know that. Let's just have the best go at it. So I get people who are motivated, and they're motivating for the task itself. They have a lot of authority of running with their own task. I don't micromanage at all. But I'm a little bit, the way I work a little bit is sort of that as a leader, you know, I have my leadership team, but and somewhere, you know, because I was a chairman of the company for 8 years in Crunchfish, and just the last year I stepped in the role as a CEO. And one thing I surprised some people is that I took decisions as the CEO, but not asking the management team. Mm-hmm. And some people thought that was kind of weird, because they felt, oh, aren't we a team? And I said, well, I expect you to do your task in your area, and I won't be your sort of, you know, I won't be there all the time for you. I will be there if you ask me, but I've hired you, or you are here because I think you are better than me in this area. So I'll trust your judgment. Just run with it. You don't have to ask me, really. If you feel you have to ask, well, come ask me. But otherwise, don't. Please don't, because I have too much to do. But likewise, don't expect me to sit and hold your hand in the areas which are my responsibility, because I'm responsible for the company, and I'll take decisions on my own. Mm. I won't ask you. And it's kind of, they felt a little bit, I know some people who are used to more of a consensus leadership in the management team, and I say, well, sorry, that's not how I do it, because I feel I have authority to do things which sort of is my responsibility. And if I need your advice, I'll ask you, but please don't expect me to do that all the time. And they've gotten used to it now, but it was a little bit in the beginning that they felt I was, oh, I thought I was in the management team. I say, yeah, you are in the management team, but that doesn't mean that you do my job. I'll do my job. Please do yours.
I love this example, but because it is so not Swedish, if you really talk stereotypes, right? Have you always been like this, Joachim?
I don't know, but I learned over the years. I'm sort of, you know, I'm 55, so I'm a bit older. So I'm, I find right now, one of the things that if you get older, time flies. It goes faster and faster. I don't have time, and we have so much to do. So this would go too slowly. I believe in speed, and we have so much to do. So this will just slow us down. That I have to sit and consult with everybody. I will consult if I need. If I feel I can't. If I can't sort of take the decision myself. I'll give you one good example. I learned this actually as. You know, in Sweden, I'm old enough that everybody did military service. Now it's not mandatory anymore, but it used to be. And I remember the major, he was the head of the regiment, really. And he said to us, I am the head, sort of here. This is on first day. And he told everybody, he was then the leader there. And he said, if you want to come and ask for approval, you come to me, and I'll tell you straight away, I always say no. All right, we thought, okay. Yeah, he said, because if there is something you want to seek my approval for, it's some sort of, I don't know, something you want to do that you can't take responsibility for yourself. So you come to me, and you expect me to take responsibility for something you don't want to take responsibility for. And of course, I will never do that, never. So I will always say no. And we said, okay, so what should we do here? But then he said with a smile that, but if you feel that you absolutely have to ask, so come after lunch, he said, because it has happened that I've said yes. And I learned two things from that. One, which there was a great advice. I think that one is that if you feel you can do this, take responsibility yourself, just do it. You know, don't ask anyone. You know, you answer to yourself. If you feel that this is something you can do, no need to ask for anybody else. And I do that as a leader, but I also try to get everybody to see it that way. Don't ask me. Well, I don't tell them I'll say no to anything, but I want them to be as independent they just can be. So I don't want to dump things on them, but I really seriously want to delegate to them. And you can run with your area, and I run with mine. But the other thing you learn is sort of you're always sort of selling something. You're peddling something as an entrepreneur all the time, and you learn that never ever, particularly with men, don't call them at 11:30 before lunch because they're cranky. They will say no even for a good decision. But it has happened quite often that if you call them at 2, if they've had a good lunch, they say yes to even a crappy decision. So in selling, just do that after lunch. That was a fantastic advice. You got that first day from the leader from that in my military service. I served 15 months, but to be honest with you, I could have just done that day. I was done. I got all the advice I needed.
That's a brilliant example, and what a great advice! And really, you know, this book's Think Fast, Think Slow, right? And there is a lot of research showing that our brains are crankier and we take worse decisions when we're hungry. So that's really good advice for every leader listening out to us. Go and ask if you need to ask for something. Go and ask after lunch.
Yeah, but preferably don't ask. Why don't you start? Because I think we have extremely competent people. You know, they live very complicated lives. You know, life is not easy, and they have families and they take a lot of decisions and they can do a lot of things. Why start to become a baby at work? Why don't you continue being an adult and sort of just stand up and do your things really? And so I'm. We have a very flat organization, and I allow everybody to just run with it. We coordinate just once a week. I've asked everybody to write. We have a little bit of a tool. Everybody answers 3 questions. That's sort of, I guess, a bit of a practical advice. I just ask what's happened last week. What are you going to do next week? And is anything in the team you need help with from the rest of the team? And we tend. And I start a meeting at 10, but I don't start it actually to 10:15 because I want everybody to have that 15 minutes, if not sooner, so read what everybody else has read. And then even if we have a team of sort of 10 people in that, or I don't know, 8 people in our management team, we tend to focus on what you need help with, and everything else people have read. I don't ask any of my, I do a monthly report to the board because they're not here. And some of the people in my team, they ask, oh, do you want us to write the monthly report? I say, no, you don't have to. If there's something happening in your area, which is, I don't know about because of this sort of weekly routine we have, it's not worth telling the board about. So you don't have to. I'll write a 1-pager to the board where I really summarize it in. And if you have a detail that I wasn't aware of, it wasn't worth putting in the board's notes anyway. So please don't write anything. So let's not wait any time on those kind of, I don't know why people do it really, just to feel more secure, I guess. But I'm not too much for security. I'm more for speed.
And this is something I actually wanted to ask you and go deeper, because what I hear is that you are very confident in both you and your team. You have the trust that is really building on the confidence, like we are here all for a reason. We got this job for a reason because we are supposed to be good at it, and let's run with it. So where does that come from? And I would guess that the second part of the question, I would guess that not everyone on your team comes with that sort of belief in themselves and like self-confidence and trust to the team. How do you work with that?
Well, I think it is, again, that's part of leadership. I think it comes, the culture is, the top is important for the culture, the culture you set, and people tend to, they learn, they see what's happening and what's going on, and they adapt. And I don't think that's too difficult, actually. People start adapting to it. Sometimes you just, we needed that because I heard when I took over as a CEO that some people were uncomfortable. How could you start an office up in Stockholm? Because we had one employee sort of remote in Stockholm. How could you do that without asking us in the management team? And I thought, well, just get over it. That's, you know, we have a new person in Stockholm, and why can't I open an office in Stockholm? Why should I ask you about that? That's not your responsibility. That's sort of a corporate decision. I'll take that. And they understand how I cope with that. And I think that you just have to, sometimes you have to take a step back and look at sort of the form or the process or how you work, and dare to discuss that up front. And I did that when that happened, because I heard that from the previous CEO that, well, people are starting to be a bit uncomfortable and you don't want to lose them. I say, well, I don't think I will lose them, but I'm happy to describe or explain how I see upon things, because as I said, I put a lot of trust in my people, and I want them to run with their things. But likewise, I think they need to put trust in me. Because it goes both ways. I trust them, and I expect them to trust me doing my role. So that's how you start to get into that. I also think it's possible, if you have a strong culture, as I think we have at our company, that you that helps in getting people to blend into that. Because we don't have many people leaving a company at all. I think I've been here now since 2012, and just last year in really as a CEO. Before I was an executive chairman, so I was here quite often. I still handle some of the tasks in the company, but then we had a CEO. Our split was he did business as usual, and I told him anything which is unusual, which is easy sometimes in a fast-growing company, you can leave that with me. So I did business as unusual. He could do business as usual. But then it turned to, one of the things that we started up with was all this with digital cash and all our ideas. That was an unusual thing that we did, but that turned out to be the big thing in the company. And I said, now it's better. Now that is business as usual. What used to be unusual. So it's better I take over now. And I'm very happy he stayed on. So he's now my sort of COO of the company, handling still many of the same thing he did before. Okay. Still handling the gesture control that we did as well, that he's handled all along. That's still on him. But this area, which I built as an unusual thing, which dominates the company now, then it just was making more sense that I sort of took over. And then in came a little bit my then culture, because as a leader, I think you set a little bit of the tone, in the company as well. But his spirit is still here. He's more, he's a great, I think, we're quite different. He's much more managerial than I am. I'm more leader, he's more managerial, but I think we're a good match because you need both things really. I'm quite happy that he does a lot of the managerial stuff, so I can focus on leadership and also working quite hard actually with a lot of operational details that is needed right now to be to push this big area of ours, digital cash, into the world. It's a huge task, and I feel I'm quite busy with that, but it's busy in a fun way, so I don't mind.
It's definitely a very big area that is really taken over, and especially this year. And you did a series or several series of the interviews, right, with different stakeholders, which I really loved. How you were interviewing your board of directors, and then different employees in different areas, and then also you had this alumni series where you interviewed the previous employees of yours. I really love the spirit, and as we discussed in the chat with you, you said like if you watch any of those interviews, you feel this spirit that we are quite a special company, and it's really like that. And in the pre-chat, I told you like I feel that in the way you support your alumni, right? You showcase the companies they went for, that they left Crunchfish for example, and you just have really good relationship. And I see it more and more in the startup world, and it's really warming up my heart to see these kind of relationships, that you really build relationships for life. And even if you're not their employer anymore, you still keep in touch, you follow up what's going on in your world and those kind of things. And it's really inspirational to see that. And I'm really grateful for the series that you've made, that you actually not only covering the tech details, but also the relationship building. And then I want to touch onto this, your relationship with different stakeholders, because you are a listed company, you have a board of directors to report to, you you have different people and their interests, or different groups, right, and their interests. How do you think that changes the environment for you as a leader and your responsibilities?
I didn't quite get your question. I understand that. Yeah, there's stakeholders all over the place. I understand. But what was your question again? How it has changed, or?
Well, the thing is that basically you have the board of directors, right? So there are people who are investing in the company. What I'm thinking about, there are people who are starting the business and they just take their own money and they try to build the business that way. You do have some kind of external support, right? The investors, even though you are part of that investing thing
I'm the
yourself.
main owner. So
Yeah.
I'm sort of I do have in this company quite a lot of hats, because I'm the biggest owner.
Not the only one, and that's what I meant with my question, that you have other owners who have put their money in.
No, we're way past that right now, because we are Crunchfish has about 4,000 owners, because we are a listed company. We are a public company. But we have a very loyal sort of owner base. I personally probably know the 20 largest owners personally, all of them. No, it's actually come in some. I've seen some that have come in as fairly large owners that I don't know. But I say I know 19 out of 20 then. So and they've been part of us. I came in as the very first investor into this company. I didn't found it. It was. Our CTO founded it in 2010. I was their, a seed investor in 2012, became the chairman, and we done a few rounds, financing rounds, 3 or 4 or 5, no, 4 or 5, I think, financing rounds. But then we did IPO in 2016, and then you need to spread the ownership. And we've been on the stock markets for 4 or 5 years. So it's, I think that's a pretty important undertaking, because then you are. As soon as if you start a company, you own 100% yourself, you can do what you want. But as soon as you have just one other person who is a part owner, you have to realize that it's not your company anymore to 100%. So it's not you have to you have to be considerate and fair and all that. I love in a way the stock market, how it works, because I'm a little bit allergic to venture capitalists, because they send you 50 pages of agreements that you have to sign. They have all the rights. They own maybe 20% of the company, but they give themselves superpowers as investors. I never liked that. So I think the stock market is much more fair, because one share, one vote is sort of and no rules, special rules are allowed, which is really cool, I think. So I like the democracy of being a sort of a public company in that sense.
So how did they go in public, or like having the IPO change, or did it change anything for how you actually run the Crunchfish? Of course, then you were not the CEO, but you were still quite active as a.
We had to change some routines. Before we were just sort of I think we had about 10 shareholders, and we, in addition to have board meetings as well, we actually had a monthly lunch, actually, where we board lunch, because one of the challenges, if you are one of the challenges you need to, if you have a board, if you just start there, if you have a board, if you want them to be helpful, they need to have information, because you can easily, as a CEO, you can easily bypass them, because you certainly have so much more information on what's going on, and you can keep them in the dark, and they really are no use to you at all. But if you there is a challenge for you, is so how do you make sure that board members can be effective to you, and you need to basically keep them in the loop. So we had once a month a lunch. I think we just call it the board lunch, but it was also, we invited also all the shareholders as well, and we did that on a regular basis too. And it was just lunch, but we talked about what was going on, and everybody felt informed. But you're not allowed to do that. You can do it with the board, I guess, but the 5 shareholders that were not on board are not. We couldn't keep them, with that privileged information, being a listed company, because being listed means that the market needs to get critical information at the same time. You really have to, that's market regulations, because otherwise people are getting insider information in a way that, there are very strict rules around all these things. So that habit had to stop. I guess we could still do it with the board, but the whole habit actually died. I think it's still a good idea to do with the board, but we actually stopped doing it when we went public. What other thing that changed is that we sort of had to, the guy who was our auditor, he's sort of a certified auditor. He became our CFO instead, Chief Financial Officer. And then we had another auditor. And that was because you really, as a public company, you don't want to make any mistakes in terms of how you report your numbers, because that is just, you don't want to, embarrass yourself with that. And he's super, he was our auditor before, and now he's consulting to us as a CFO. And the other role you have to have is basically an investment relation, a marketing communications person. And so we had to, so these two roles, I think you need to, if you don't really are strong in these areas, you need to fix that. But if you have two people, one who takes care of the financing, so that's really always strong, and one that is the sort of communication / investor relations person, you're fine. Then you can work with that. That's the major change that you have to do to be super tight in these areas. Otherwise, you set yourself up for failure otherwise.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice, just to be like, keep your eyes on those areas that are important, and really have the control of your numbers and relationship. And
and comply with the market regulation rules, which is the IR person's the investment relation person would be understanding what's required, and it's a little bit, I wouldn't say policeman, but they know what's because there are some procedure you have to follow, which you don't have to follow if you're a private company.
Yeah, there are regulations and extra requirements come in, or responsibilities when you go do the IPO. But it looks like you're managing it really great, and I really like the visibility of your company, of Crunchfish, just how you keep it informal in a way, like light. So it's just enjoyable to watch, I would say. And the other question I would like to, or the topic I would like to cover with you a bit, Joachim, is the cross-culture communication, and really finding synergies in having people from different backgrounds, because you have quite a big part of the company in India, and this is quite a different culture from Swedish. So how do you leverage on that instead of having that as some kind of roadblock?
Yeah, I think I've never had a problem, actually. I think that's, as a leader, sort of, or as a person, that's one of my strengths. I think that I can relate to, I can talk to professors, I can talk to business leaders, I can talk to politicians, or I can talk to other cultures, and I can talk to children, and I sort of tend to, it doesn't matter who I talk to, I tend to talk to them in, I try to envisage how should I talk to you, so it fits your style in a way. So I think I even do it with my dialect. I'm one of those that if I, at least sort of in Swedish, if I start to talk to someone from Stockholm, I have started to have a Stockholm dialect. If someone from Gothenburg, I slide over to that. So I'm a little bit a chameleon in that sense. In terms of culture, I had a training, or I had an experience, because I was at Ericsson before, as many Swedes in the tech area has been. So I was working in Malaysia, and I had 15 people working for me. I was the regional director for South Asia for one of the business areas in Ericsson. This was back in the 90s, actually, mid-90s, so a long time ago. But I had 15 people from 14 different countries, which was extremely diverse. So I started to think about what does this mean? And I came across a book. It was written by a guy, his name is von Strompenaars, and it's called Riding the Waves of Culture. And it was quite useful for me to just be exposed, because this is how it is with people that, or with culture, that, you and me, Anna, we sort of look the same. And you can assume that, well, Anna, she's probably like me. But what Fons Trampenos did in that book is that if you put virtues against each other, I'm sure you would agree with me that honesty is important. Everybody does that. And friendship, is that important? And you say, yes, it's important. But what happens if you put friendship against honesty? And that's what Fons Trampenos found out, that because he put people in, he gave them dilemmas. And one dilemma is this, sort of that you're in a car with your friend's driving, and he's going too fast, and there is an accident. So the question is to you, this becomes a court case. Can your friend expect you to lie for him in court that he wasn't speeding? And that question tells a little bit about the culture. We are actually extremes in Sweden, because we put honesty above everything. So we wouldn't lie. And if you are more from Southern Europe, or if you even go to Southeast Asia, they value friendship. I'm not saying what's right or wrong here. I'm just saying that they stand up for their friend, and Swedes don't. Because we have to tell the truth. And again, that's how we are. We sell out our friends for truth, but they wouldn't do that. And what Fons has done is asked sort of, I don't know, it's 40 different nationalities about how they will respond to that question, and they put it all on a bar chart. Swedes are, I think 95% of Swedes would say, no, if this is a court case, I'll tell the truth. So the friend, only 5% of you have to look hard to find a Swede which will stand up for your friend. But likewise I think it was Thailand, it was probably 10% of the Thais would tell the truth. 90% would, yeah, I'll stand up for my friend. But it was an interesting twist with this sort of this question, and that was, if you now heard that the cyclist that your friend hit, he died, so how would you respond now? And what's interesting is that polarizes the whole thing. Now Swede says, I have to tell the truth. Now it's not no longer 95, it's 99% of the Swedes would tell the truth. It's probably just an outlier 1% who would stand up for the friend. But this is a matter of life and death. I can't live with myself not telling the truth. But likewise, if you're from, say, if your culture has the other virtue higher, holds that higher, like in saying, we take Thailand again, it's probably just a few percent of the Thais who wouldn't stand up for the friend in that case, because now the friend really needs help. You cannot say no. So the whole bar chart actually polarizes, which it was quite interesting. So he does a lot of these things, and I learned a lot about that. The culture is about something underneath the surface. You may think people are the same, but they're not, and it all comes out when you're putting those virtues against each other, and you could and having that understanding helps you to relate to people, because they're all good people. They just have different preferences when it comes to virtues.
Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective. And like, I'm reflecting on that because I'm from Ukraine myself, and I could imagine that we are more on the protect the friend side, but I would be more on the Swedish kind of side myself. And I wonder whether it stems in or roots into the trust to the system, which is huge in Sweden. And in Southeast Asia, for example, and South Europe and so on, it is more bureaucracy and corruption, or more corruption, let's say, that affects the trust of people to the system and the government. So there it's like, okay, if I don't protect my friend, then the friend is screwed because the system is not functioning.
So, but he gave another example as well. I can give you that, which is interesting, because now we're polarizing this decision less. And this is, you're a food critic, so you write reviews for a magazine about restaurants, and you come to a restaurant, you don't really like the service and the food wasn't that great. But when you're going to write this article, you find out this is your friend, your old friend from high school, your best friend, who is sort of owning this restaurant. So now is the question: can your friend, your old friend, can he or she expect you to write a better review? Mm. Now, this is not such an important decision for Swedes. So now the Swedes would be probably 70% would say, no, this is my professional job, I'll tell the truth. But it's up to 30% who will actually stand up for the friend. Mm. But likewise in Thailand, it's only 30% of the Thais will say, no, this is my job, and this is not so important for my friend. So everything collapses here. So it's not but still we have the virtue of honesty, so we are still siding more on that side. And then if you have more friendship, you're still siding more there. It's one cool twist on this one was that there was one outlier country where it went completely to the extreme, and that was the French. Okay. And it all follows the theory because in France, food, that's a matter of life and death. That's sort of so. Because they are on that side, they're not. It wasn't so important with the court case, but when it comes to food, 99% of the French would not lie about something as important as food, which was kind of fun to see. But it's the same thing, that they are more on the truth side than on the friend side. But when it came to such an important thing as food, no lying there.
It all makes sense. It just all aligns to how you observe the cultures. But okay, you had this experience, and you've had a lot of diversity in your team. And how is it in a Crunchfish? Did you have to help your employees somehow find this common ground, create the curiosity about each other, or has it just been working naturally for all Crunchfishers?
Yeah, well, I think I just I don't spend too much time on that. I just do, in a way, and they because you set a lot of the culture from the top, I feel. So I just do, and they see how I do it, and I think that's then they know what's allowed. I think that's why how it's. I think a lot of the culture is created from the top, because they understand that that's actually allowed to do. And then some people, it comes natural for them. Some takes it a little bit slower, but I don't mind. People can be different. People can do it in their style. Not everybody has to be a copy of me. That's not what I'm asking. So they can have their their way of doing things. That's fine. But I think we're all about achieving something as a team, where I value individual excellence, that you can run with your stuff, just do it. But I also value team performance. So for me, it's sort of it's a bit of both. I value individual excellence and team performance at the same time. So everybody can be Zlatan Ibrahimovic if they want to in my team, but I also in some sense they can't be it, because everybody, we are a team, because we are much stronger as a team, but you can be a star. Everybody can be a star. I sort of view it a little bit that everybody has the same job. We just have different sort of realms. My sort of remit is to develop the company and have that. Someone has the head of India. He has my job, but in India, and someone who is in marketing communication. He has my job, but in marketing communication. And so it's just different. It's just different scopes. But you just run with it, and that's why I don't. That's how I see. That's how I view the world. I don't see different. I just see that we have different scopes, different focus, really. But otherwise, I allow everybody to have the authority, sort of, on me, wherever they are.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really great. Do you feel like anyone is uncomfortable with this authority level that you're giving them?
No. I think they like it because they feel. I think if you, I think that's probably in leadership the most important thing you want to do, because if you have people who are, I really believe that if you got to get people to perform only for very mechanical tasks, you can reward people with money. You can give them more carrots, and then they work a little bit faster if they just have extremely sort of mechanical tasks. But any cognitive skills involved, anything sort of with a little bit, you're not motivating with money. I think that's I think there's even science around that. But you motivate by people feel that they have a meaningful job, they have a lot of autonomy, and they have control, and all that. That's when you get people to blossom and perform at their I think you had this how do you get people to perform at their genius level? I think that was your first approach to me, and I said, well, I don't think I really responded to you, except that I think we're quite fine, thank you. We do that. and I think that one of the ways to do that is actually to allow a lot of freedom to people. And people are, they're adult people. They manage their very complex life outside. Why couldn't they manage it at the work?
Yeah, it's great to have this trust. Actually, I want to roll back to 5 minutes ago in the conversation, and you talk about culture comes from the top, that you as a leader really set the tone and show that this is how we function here as a team together. To our listeners who might not be that part of that top, maybe middle management or engineers, what could you suggest them? They are not the ones who can set the tone for the whole organization, the whole department, whatever. What can those people who are interested in creating a more thriving culture in their organization, but they don't have this pondus, as you say in Sweden, the authority, what could they do to create?
But they can set it. They can. You always have the. So ways I see it is that because I remember I said that when I was with Ericsson, I said that to the head of. I think he was the head of the whole business area. I told him I believe that. I told him we have the same job, you and me. It's just that I have a smaller responsibility area, and you can create that trust and that way of working in your area. So you are the top of that area. So I appreciate that. It helps if it goes all the way, even above you. But if you lead by example yourself in your own area, then I guess if someone would object strongly to that, who is above you, maybe you want to move to another place where you are more conducive to an open and good place to work. Because I think life's too short to work at crappy places. Move on then. But you could create it if I think I actually think that a lot of people would allow people to, because this is about taking responsibility yourself, being a leader. People want, I think in all organizations, just like I want the whole team, everybody to step up, to lead as well. Yeah, you follow, so you sort of do it, you follow and you lead, you follow and you lead, but you do both things. I want them to lead in their area. So, and I would think a leader in any organization, if they wouldn't like someone who took initiative, who was proactive, who was driving the area, who wouldn't like that kind of employee? So just take charge. And if you don't have anyone if you have the luxury of not having anyone that you have to lead, being responsible for, that you're sort of, if you don't, you're basically not a manager for anyone. Lead yourself, be that person, and then things will go well for you. I really think so. I think it's be a high energy person. Take breaks so you can, I believe in high energy, but then also value those in between times, because you need to rest as well. You can't just be high energy all the time. So value your balance, but be there. Just in a way, no one will stop you. Just be your best.
I love that, Joachim. Basically, be the CEO of your life and your area, whatever the area is. Yeah. It can be really tiny and can be a huge organization, but be the CEO of that. Take charge of that, and that will create the ripple effects around you.
Yeah, I think so. I think it. I'm not the leader of the world in any way, but I do my best from my horizon. And the more people there are a lot of people who's doing that, but just keep doing that. Do your best in your wherever you are, and you're definitely the CEO of your own life. That's just what my major said at my regiment. You know, don't ask me. I'll say no, because if you don't want to say yes to yourself, why should I?
Yeah, definitely. So apart from that beautiful lesson from your surgeon or major, what would be your 3 pieces of advice to our Genius Leaders listeners?
Oh, 3, yeah. I guess summarize a little bit what we said. I think sort of be courageous. You know, take charge of your own life and your own task, and you know, do that. Be courageous and take charge. Be present. You know, really be present. Not just don't just put in your shoes there. Be present. Be there. See people and interact with people. Be there. And then you know, being present means being having empathy and an understanding, and I guess have fun. You know, life's too short not to have fun. So let's try to have that. So have fun, be courageous, and be present. Be there for people. I don't know. It's a, you know, it's a mix.
That's a great summary. I think it's a great summary. But I would also like to add one question here. The practical tip, what could our listeners do today after listening to this episode that can help them make a next step on this journey towards genius leadership that they can do?
Yeah, what can you do? One thing I did once was because I'm an entrepreneur, and I think everybody benefits from an entrepreneurial thinking. And entrepreneurship is all about, we're building systems. That's what entrepreneurs do, and we're good at building those systems. So we achieve a lot of things with the output of what we achieve, or what we achieve is much less than the input. We create such systems, and you can create it for yourself, or you can create it for an organization. But that's the entrepreneurial mindset. And this was sort of I'll give you a story that I was triggered by. There was a girl who taught me how to do Zumba dancing, which I did for a while. And she went to the supermarket and straight after a class, and she came there. Her hair was just in complete disarray, and the male servant said, "Oh, I like your hair." And she said, why do you say that? It's sort of, I haven't sort of, you know, done my hair. No, but I like it like that rough, he said. And for a man to say that, it's a little bit of a risk to do that to a woman that you have never met. You know, you could be a slap on your face. So he takes a little bit of a risk. But she really got, you know, he saw her, and she got really quite happy. And I 10 years later, I asked her if I could use that story, because I think it's, I said to her, "Do you remember it?" "Yes," she said, "I'll remember this one for the rest of my life." So he took a little bit of a risk here to give a surprise compliment to, it could be to anyone, to a woman here. So little risk, you know, that's the cost of the whole situation here. A little risk, but a great reward, something that she would treasure for the rest of her life. And I sort of said, I thought this as an entrepreneur, let me put that on Facebook. I call it a surprise compliment. So I asked everybody on my Facebook, this was 10 years ago or something, why don't you go out and do a surprise compliment? It could be to someone you know, or someone complete stranger, but just mean it, and record what happened, and record also what happened with that person and what happened with yourself. How do you feel about it? And it was a fantastic day. It was just before Christmas. The first one who came in was a girl from Germany, from Berlin, I know. She went up to a street sweeper, and she said, "Thanks for sweeping our streets. You're doing such a great job." And the smile she got back from that street sweeper, she said, "Oh, it was so rewarding." Because, you know, and I would say, as a tip, step out of your comfort zone, do something for another person, you know, be present, surprise them with your kindness, your love, or whatever. Just do it, just try it. I know it might feel awkward and uncomfortable, but it's going to be rewarding. So just try that, and then just keep going, and you will have a good life.
What a beautiful tip, Joachim. I'm tearing up actually for this story, because I tried to do it myself. And just recently, when we were coming back from Germany to Iceland, we were tested for COVID at the airport. And I had a chat with a guy who was doing the test for me. And I said, thank you for what you do. And he just paused in the middle of the movement, like, oh, thank you for saying that. It's not a lot of people who appreciate what I do here. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that quite a lot of people who are going through your booth here are appreciating what you do. But it's just that not everyone maybe is expressing that. And it's also a stressful situation. Someone is sticking into your nose.
But
So,
he's a human being, and he's you seeing him and you appreciating, you telling him. It's so little, especially now Nordic countries where we're a little bit close. You know, we're a little bit sort of close because we are, you know, mountaineering people really. But it's so easy to stand out in our cultures, and it doesn't take much to be sort of a superhero when it comes to kindness in our culture. Take advantage of that by being kind and present, and surprise compliments is a cool thing actually. And it's as an entrepreneur, as I said, I built a system around it, and I had a fun day. I got about 50 people reporting back of just love stories for the whole day, which was a great day.
Oh, beautiful. So genius leaders, take this challenge from us and go and do the surprise compliment, make it, and maybe share your story as well with us and tag us so that we can actually learn and get inspired and get piece of that love as well. Joachim, thank you so much for the conversation, and let us know how people can find you and learn more about you and the Crunchfish, connect with you when they want to get more of you.
Yeah, I'm all over social media. So Facebook, they find me at, or LinkedIn, as it's probably my two sort of channels. And yeah, my name and at Crunchfish, sort of yeah, or yeah, you know. So just connect if you you know, want to know anything. So I'll see you in the digital world, or hopefully soon after COVID in the physical world.
Yeah, let's hope for that. But yeah, I'm still preparing for a couple of more months of this.
Yeah, sure.
I will put your resources in the show notes so that people can easily reach out to you. Thanks again for the conversation. It was really wonderful to have you over.
No, thanks for a great chat, Anna. It was great. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.